Going live. Our journey begins right now. Through all the lights, through all the sound. What are we listening to? Through lights, maps, and we will hear more of that in a little bit. Hello, everyone. My name is W.A.K. William, High Arts on the Edge. I am super excited because this conversation that we're about to have, an album listening party, has been in the making for quite some time. And I am very appreciative of James Chapman, also known as Maps, coming all the way from England. We are going to honor and celebrate his brand new album right here called Counter Melodies. We're going to do an album listening party plus Q&A. And I believe James is also going to talk to you about a little giveaway and some records that he really that has inspired him along the way as an artist. James Chapman, thank you for being here on High Arts on the Edge. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Thanks for asking me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's just going to be fun.
This is going to be a great time. And before we get into Counter Melodies and all of its glory, I want to give you a quick little background on how I became familiar with your music, if you don't mind.
No, of course, yeah.
All right. So there was a DJ down in Santa Monica, Nick Harcourt, I believe his name. I'm not sure if he's still down there doing that gig. Anyways, he used to release these songs like Song a Days or something like that. And it was Liquid Sugar that I first heard. And when I first heard that song, it just blew my mind. And I felt like I was hearing something familiar, yet something different. It was a great combination, amalgamation of that. It kind of had that dreamy quality. And that ethereal sound that came with it. And then that whole album came out, We Can Create. And it's just like, all right, what is this? This is something beautiful. This is something different. And never looked back. So that's kind of how I got into your music. And
so that must have been 2007.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. And I was just kind of starting my teaching career. And, there's these seminal moments in your life where these albums just come about in your life and you're just like, all right. So that was one of them. And when we get into Counter Melodies, I would love to start explore kind of your mind as an artist, where you were at that time, where you are now. We'll get into all that good stuff. Cool. Before we talk about Counter Melodies, how are you feeling now that it's been released and it's out there in the world?
Really good. Yeah. I mean, it's been, this time it was released, the album was released in two halves. So it's kind of, I think that calmed the nerves a little bit, because I had half, well, call it side A out before Christmas. And then, and people seem to really be enjoying it. And so I think I knew that people would dig in the first side. So, and I hoped that side B would be a similar reaction. And I think, I've been really pleased that with the response, and people have been really kind. And it's always strange when you release an album, because you just work on it for so long. And because I've heard these songs, hundreds of times, and then you kind of forget that other people are hearing them for the first time. And it's nice.
And I'm sure you've gotten a lot of amazing response and very favorable reviews. And it's probably something that, this is, to me, this is the whole scope of your work. And we'll get into all that stuff. And I'm as we take a deeper dive into the production of this album and some of the tracks, I can't wait to hear some of your opinions and your stories about how these came about during COVID, post-COVID, pre-COVID, all that. So here's how the listening party works, everyone. And by the way, if you're tuning in, thank you so much. You're here with James Chapman of Maps. My name is W, aka William. If you're tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from. That would be awesome. And this is how you do an album listening party. So right now on your device at home, if you have the album on vinyl, go to your turntable, get it all queued up and ready. If you don't have the vinyl, you can go over to Bandcamp, Spotify, I'm sure other platforms. Type in Maps, Counter Melodies. And then when I say hit it, you're going to hit play on your device. You'll be able to hear the album on your device or your audio system at home, in the car, wherever you're at. And then we'll be talking in the chat box about these songs. So feel free to let us know how you feel about these songs. If you have a question for James, you can put a question. Maybe James will talk a little bit. He'll type up a little bit while the album is playing. And then after that, we're going to have a little encore here. I put together a little Spotify mix that I will put in the chat box. And then I'll tell you to hit play. And these are 3 or 4 songs that aren't on this album, that are on previous albums that I absolutely adore. And then we'll do the Q&A, and then we'll have a record giveaway. So that's kind of the menu for today. How's that sound, James?
Awesome. Yeah, can't wait.
We already have Yogi Shoegazer here.
Hey,
Yogi, how are you?
Yogi.
I just had a nice conversation with that good fella. Aberdeen, Scotland. That's right. His vinyl's all set. Yeah, this is going to be fun. So I'm going to get my record here. And by the way, it's a beautiful pressing.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? I was really pleased with this, the whole artwork and everything. It's just,
and I definitely want to talk about that as well.
Yeah.
So give me a sec here. Go ahead, James.
I have a slight technical question. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm looking at the Facebook page and there's a slight delay. Should I mute StreamYard and?
You can, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
All good?
I think so.
So the album, everyone, is called Counter Melodies. I will put it in the comment box here for people. Gary says it's a bit of a lag. That's okay. No worries.
Yeah.
Shall we begin?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Okay. So when I say hit it, which that's what HI stands for, hit it, you're going to hit your device at home and you'll be able to play the album. I will keep everyone on track with the title tracks. I'll put them in all caps. And then feel free to let us know how the song's making you feel. Amanda says, hi, James. Hi, William. Sounds all good here in Essex. So thank you for tuning in, Amanda. Appreciate it. All right, here we go. I'm getting mine queued up. This is exciting. Hit it. Maps album listening party, Counter Melodies. Get those neighbors pumping, jumping, do what you need to do. Turn it loud, proud. We're here with James Chapman. Let's keep it rolling. Through Lights, track number 3. On Your Feet. Yeah. Tuning in the maps. Album listening party for Counter Melodies. My name is W. Keep enjoying. Feel that groove. Infectious. Side B, transmission. No, it's not Joy Division. It's Maps here with James Chapman. High Arts on the Edge. My name is W.A.K. William. Thank you for tuning in this listening party. We got some great music along the way here, as well as a little encore for y'all. Enjoy. For those of you just turning in, head over to Spotify, wherever you can find this album, Counter Melodies. We are on Lack of Sleep, and hit play on your device at home. Chat away with friends in the comments box. Let us know how you're feeling. Let's keep rolling along here. Lack of Sleep. tuning in to Valentine, Counter Melodies album, here at James Chapman of Maps. What a listening party. Thank you for tuning in. All your comments, keep throwing them our way. Get your questions lined up for James. After this, we'll do an encore, 3-track encore. I'll share that with you soon. Last track off of Counter Melodies. Turn it up. I'm still going. Woo! James Chapman. Oh, gotta turn this guy on. Yes! Yes! And more Counter Melodies. Yes. God, that track could have been 12 minutes long. How you doing, James? Got to unmute. Oh, can you unmute yourself?
Hello, 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 hello. I'm back. I'm back.
Thank you, and thank you. Wow,
That was awesome. Thanks so much, guys. That was
you know what? That was fantastic, and hopefully everyone enjoyed that experience. We're not done. Before we get into the making and creation of this baby, we're going to do an encore
Hmm.
performance here. No, I'm not. You're not going to see me dance, although maybe. So here's what I did. So yesterday, and day before, just all the map stuff just coming back, good feels, all that. And I thought, you know what? Why don't we do an encore here? I will select 3 tracks that are not on this album, and I will put them on a little Spotify mix, and I'll drop that here in a sec. And this was brutal. I mean, because to find 3 tracks, maps tracks that speak to your heart, they're just a plethora of them. So after the work, here are my 3 songs. If you do not have Spotify at home or on your device, I'm going to tell you the 3 tracks. Sorry, I got to give them away here. And how
Hmm.
you find them, that's completely up to you. So the 3 tracks are for our Maps Encore performance: Chameleon from Turning the Mind,
Good choice.
You Will Find a Way, Vicissitude, and I'm sorry, we're going to end it with So Low, So High. Okay, so get those songs queued up. If you do not have Spotify, if you do, I'm going to put these songs here in the link right now. Don't hit play just yet. Um, we'll get you all queued up here. Let's see here. For some reason, it's not letting me. Wow. Okay.
What's that? Spotify or?
Yeah, it's not letting me share the link. Okay, well, I'll tell everyone.
Oh,
Here you go. Yeah. I don't know why it's not letting me do that. Okay. Maybe it's a, I don't know, StreamYard, Facebook thing. Let's get rolling anyway. So here are the 3 songs again. From Turning the Mind album, Chameleon, that will be the first track. Second track will be You Will Find a Way from Vicissitude. And the third and final track will be So Low, So High from We Can Create album. Okay, everyone got it?
yeah.
Um, we have some more people coming in here. Wildfire, yeah, I know.
I heard
So
there's
many.
an encore. Oh, okay.
Yeah, are
We've
you
got
ready, James?
requests.
Yeah, I know. We're getting requests here. That will be in our next interview.
Yeah.
So James, do you have those songs queued up?
Yeah. We started with Chameleon. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Everyone ready? When I say hit it, you're going to hit play on your device. Ready? Hit it. Encore performance here. James Chapman of Maps. Yes. Let's go track number 2. You will find a way. Coming up to the final encore track. I need to hear all of your music pumping, emanating from your speakers, hitting San Francisco. Here we go, everyone. Enjoy. So low, so high. Get up and move those feet.
Hey, I went on to the next track by mistake.
Oh, I could have kept going and going and going. We'd be here all day. And I know Amanda would love that, and so the rest of your fans.
Oh, thanks so much. That was awesome.
That was
Yeah.
that was truly sublime. Your work is awesome. It's
Oh,
inspiring. It's it's just one of those things. I'm sure you have this with bands that you love that you just wish more and more people could be hearing this, but we'll take what we can get. And what you have is a high legion of fans that really appreciate your art. So thank you so much. So, okay, so I actually want to know, when was the last time you heard "So Low, So High"?
I
It's
was
been a
just
while.
thinking that, yeah, like probably not too long ago, that one, but definitely Chameleon. That's been a while. Yeah, and it's strange how it brings back just so much from that time.
I bet.
Um, and just kind of that's what music does with me. It's I'm instantly back to making the album and kind of yeah, it's powerful, man. Yeah,
So
yeah.
let me give people just an idea of what they're tuning into. So we just finished the album listening party, Counter Melodies, along with the encore tracks. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep dive into Counter Melodies, and then I believe we have a record giveaway. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
awesome. So we'll do that at the very end. Actually, before we get into Counter Melodies, as I was listening to this album with everybody here, you had mentioned some of these tracks came along to your mind middle of the night.
Mm.
Does your brain ever turn off? Is it always hearing beats, clicks, rhythm, sounds? And if so, where did this all start? Your love for electronics.
Um, yeah, I don't think it does turn off in a sense that I'm kind of always thinking about music, and I used to think that was kind of normal, but I've always got, you know, what people call an earworm, where you've just always got something in your head. Um, and I've always got that. I've always got something going on. Whether it's like one of my song ideas or a track or um so yeah, I think, but I think that, you know, that's I guess like I mean, I started making music because of just I was very passionate about it, and I think, you know, that luckily that hasn't left me. So I think that's always seen me through. I guess I'm always looking for ideas and stuff. So yeah.
Give us a little background into your history as far as where you grew up, parents, siblings, anything else you want to share about your family life.
So I grew up in a small village near a town near Wellingborough, which is, I mean, I always say I'm from Northampton because not many people have heard of Wellingborough because it's kind of quite small. Um, but yeah, that's where I grew up. So I've always been, you know, I've been away from the London scene my whole life. I've always been kind of in the middle of, you know, East Midlands kind of, which is a great place to make music. It's very quiet here, and there's less distractions. But yeah, I grew up um, there, and I mean, I guess my first kind of like dealing with like music was like I started learning the violin when I was about 6 um, at school and started taking violin lessons, and then I kind of got into that and kind of learned how to read music and kept it up. And it's not the coolest thing to do when you're at school. It's like everyone else is playing football, and I was the kid carrying the violin to school, and it
Yeah, but look
wasn't
who's
great.
laughing now. Look who has.
Well, yeah, yeah. No, but that's yeah, that's a serious point because I think you know, obviously, like when I got into my teens and that, I kind of, because I got quite good on the violin and the percussion. I kind of got to grade 8, and I was playing in county orchestras and things like that. And but then as soon as I discovered the guitar and got into cool music, I kind of left it, you know, to one side, and then got much more into guitar music and going out and discovering the world. And but it gave me a great basis of, you know, I learned how to read music, and that's really helped me, I think. Um,
Did your mom and or dad support your love for music while growing up?
Yeah, totally. And I think they're watching now. So
Oh,
hi, mum
nice.
and dad.
Nice. Awesome. Hello to the Chapmans here. And your
Yeah.
parents, what do they do, or as far as a livelihood?
So like they're both retired now. My mum was a teacher for 30
Yeah.
years. Yeah. Noble profession. Um, and yeah, so I grew up in a really supportive house, and they always wanted me to follow my music, but I never thought it was going to be a serious, thing that I could possibly do, like, as a serious profession. It was always, to me, I just loved doing it, and I just would lock myself in my bedroom and make music, and it was always my way of dealing with things. I think I was very anxious and very kind of scared of my own shadow when I was at school, and I think as I got into my teens and around that time, I definitely used music as an outlet, and kind of, yeah, as most teenagers do. You
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
it's a
What
very
what what
emotional time.
what were you anxious about?
Oh, I don't know. I think I was just always a worrier. I still am. Like, I think I was always like a kind of yeah. I never kind of had a lot of confidence in what what I was what I or anything I did really. But I think I found music to be an escape, and I always would enjoy. Yeah, like just well, at the time it was CDs, like buying CDs, and just kind of that became my passion, and listening to music, and I got into playing guitar. Kind of this is like the mid 90s, so I guess I was listening to bands like Nirvana, and then got into bands like Suede, and then there was like the whole Britpop thing which happened. But I was always a bit on the side of I was into like Spaceman 3 and Spiritualize, and obviously like the Stone Roses were big at that time, and so I was in a local band, and I was kind of, you know that was like my first foray into, um I guess, making music. But then when that band broke up, I started making music on my own with a little 4-track cassette recorder, and got more interested in the actual creation, I suppose. So it was all very accidental. I mean, I kind of just followed what I enjoyed doing, and um, yeah.
Did you have friends that were riding along with you in terms of your love for this style of music, or were you kind of on the outskirts on your own?
No, I was always just on my own, really. I kind of, I think I just enjoyed that kind of isolation and locking myself away in it, almost like a bubble. And for me, like that was kind of where the magic was. And it's always about the creation of the music. Like I kind of, it's the process that I enjoy.
Mhm.
Um, and I get a real feeling from, because sometimes it's hard to get to a place where you're happy with something, but when you do, you get a feeling of real. There's nothing else like it. I think when something clicks and a song's working, that's what I'm always chasing. And sometimes it takes longer than others, but
Sure,
yeah.
sure. My dad used to tease me because I used to go to concerts all the time, and he'd say, "Stop spending all that money on concerts." And I would tell him, "But Dad, you don't understand. This is my community. This is where I feel most alive and present." And he would get very angry. And I said to him after an Inspiral Carpet show the next day, I said, "You're going to find out why this music means so much to me now and later in my life." Well, later in my life, as I became really entrenched with teaching and education, I would bring music into the classroom every day. We would do performances, blah, blah, blah. And then when he heard I was receiving positive reviews for my work, I told him, I said, see, I told you that's why those shows meant a lot to me. So my question is for you, can you think of a moment in your childhood experience where has brought you to this arc where you are now that has made you who you are? Do you understand that question?
Yeah. I think I mean, there was a kind of a weird chain of events that happened. I think well, I went to college kind of when it was like 98, I suppose, 1998, and I really had a bad time there. Got quite depressed and ended up dropping out, and I felt I had kind of quite a down time. And it was that point when I kind of really started kind of making tracks that I guess like were more in touch with how I was feeling, and I used it as a real way of
Mhm.
like musical therapy.
Yeah, medicine.
Yeah, and it was really through from then. Like I kind of it took a while, but I just started making these tracks from that period, which eventually became the tracks that got me signed to Mute. So I mean, I made that sound like a shorter time span, but that was really how it worked. So I guess what I saw as a failure, like I really did feel like I was not well. And I think eventually that became um what saved my life really, because getting signed to Mute was when everything changed. And I kind of my life was on a totally different trajectory. So
So I've heard two key words here. I mean, amongst many, and being a teacher, I'm very aware of what people say to me. And you've used the word depression, anxiety, and using music as an outlet, as a medicinal use for you to tap into the therapeutic side of it. Um, Looking back at that difficult time of your life, it, where are you now in relation to where you were then? And how are you different as a person?
I'm complete. Well, I'm completely different. Like um a lot more settled, and I kind of I think I found what I love doing, and this was well many years ago. So it's kind of there's and a lot of stuff happened since as well, which you know I don't know. I won't go into all the
Sure.
personal drama of my life, but
Yeah.
um yeah, I got for about the last 13 years, like things have been really good, and I've kind of um yeah, in a good place. And yeah.
And we'll get off this little treadmill talk here about feeling, but and we'll get into the album. But sometimes when I look back in the rearview mirror of where I was in terms of melancholy or sadness or slight depression, I actually appreciate the vantage point from that because it gives me sharper perspective on the journey that I've gone through. And that's how I see your albums, this amazing journey that you take the listener on. And I'm just wondering how much of that experience is imbued in the quality and the characteristic of your music. I imagine quite a bit, and some of it you don't even understand.
I think it all is, yeah.
Yeah.
All of it, yeah. Like every album I've made has been a product of where I've been at that time. Um, and yeah, it's like when I look at my life, it's just been kind of a crazy chain of events that a lot of things happened that just needn't have happened, and if they hadn't happened, but I guess it's like everyone's life. But I think yeah, it's mad to think that how things lead from one thing to another. But everything, I think, and I think as well because I make music on my own, like it is it's kind of well, it all comes from this this head. So it's like, I think if you're in a band, maybe you're like, it's much more like you're bouncing ideas around, and but I think, yeah, for me, it's like a kind of personal, yeah, I guess diary of where I'm at that time. So,
Absolutely. Tell us that feeling when you got signed to Mute.
oh man,
Let's go back to
so
look at your face. Love it.
yeah, so yeah, it was well, I was kind of making these demos and like sending them out, and I had a little bit of interest, and then um seriously, like from 1 minute I was just a kid making music in his bedroom, and then quite like out of the blue, like Daniel Miller from Mute, the head of Mute Records, came to visit me in my little village. And because I still lived with my parents at the time, I told them to go out to make me look cool. So I was like in my, which I can't believe I just admitted, but I really had no idea what I was doing. And yeah, so Daniel Miller came and sat in my bedroom and listened to these songs I'd made, and yeah, it was just so surreal. And then yeah, I got signed, and then everything just changed after that.
Just in case people who are watching don't know who Daniel Miller is, do you wanna tell them who he is?
So yeah, Daniel Miller, like, well, well, I mean, I guess you could start with, like, he's the guy that signed Depeche Mode, and Mute Records was born, I think it was 1978, and he had his own project called The Normal. They released a track called Warm Leatherette, which is quite a famous electro tune. But yeah, he started Mute Records and signed Depeche Mode, Erasure, Nick Cave, Goldfrapp, all these, it's endless. So they were one of my favorite labels, if not my favorite label at the time, and still. And I kind of found myself in this dream
So
situation, like,
he's at your house. Do you remember how long he stayed for?
oh yeah, no, we stayed, and then we went to the local pub, and I still remember, like, he ordered a vodka and cranberry juice, because I was just like so nervous and just so green, and
Oh,
I remember all these things really vividly, because it was just, I think, because when it's the moments where your life is changing, and I think yeah, and Daniel is such a cool guy as well. He's so down to earth, and I only I think I was nervous because of who he was, but he doesn't make you feel nervous because he's just so gentle and down to earth. And it's only when you think of everything he's done
sure.
that you freak out. And
So, okay, so you get signed. This is, I mean, beyond your dreams, this and that. And then take us along that journey to where we are now with Counter Melodies. And you can do that in a short window of time if you like.
okay, yeah. So yeah, like the first album, We Can Create, uh, came out, and there was all the Mercury Music Prize nomination as well, which was just insane. And yeah, after that, I kind of there was a whirlwind. We kind of toured. We played America, actually. I was saying to you, we played Bottom of the Hill. Came over in
Mhm.
07. And yeah, and then yeah, I'll keep this short. I made Turn in the Mind, which was my second album, with Tim Holmes from Death in Vegas. I heard you talking about him before,
Mhm.
Death in Vegas, and so that was what Chameleon was from. And then Vicissitude was the third album. And yeah, Colors Reflect Time Loss. Is this what you wanted me to?
Yeah,
Is it all
yeah.
right?
No, I mean,
Um,
I want the thread. So
the
what's
brief history of maps.
yeah.
um, So yeah, and I did a remix album as well called Realigned, which was like a collection because I've done a lot of remixes as well over the years, and that was kind of a collection of remixes. And then I did a project called On Dead Waves with Polly Scattergood, which is a collaboration that was on mute as well. It's very kind of Americana type vibe. And then 2019, Colors Reflect Time Loss was my fourth studio album, and I was very much on a kind of Beach Boys tip, and yeah, worked with the strings and brass, the Echo Collective from Brussels. And then what happened? And then I made Counter Melodies, and that's the fifth studio album. So that's the
Okay,
brief history of.
I love it. And with counter melodies, let's take a dive into this, shall we?
Yeah, man.
I want to start actually with the mastering of it. Where was the master? Who mastered this?
A guy called Kevin Tuffy.
Okay.
He's really good. I think he's moved recently, but he used to work with Alchemy Mastering, and I think he does a lot with mute as well. Because he's mastered quite a lot of my things in the past, and yeah, like that was he just got it right. I mean, it took a while because not because of what he was doing, but because of like I wanted the album to be like a flow from one track to the other, and I had no idea how difficult that was to like achieve like seamlessly. So yeah, it took a while to kind of get the edit the cuts in the right places for each track. And
How long did the mastering take?
I think in the end it was about a month because it just there was some back and forth, and yeah, but like I say, it was mostly the sequencing that I I thought I didn't know it would be as challenging. I think because I've never done it before, I've never kind of done what's like a seamless flow of tracks, and
Yeah.
there was just yeah.
So this idea for counter melodies, when was that seed planted? Do you remember?
Yeah, so I got to the end of 2019, and we played a few gigs. I had a band, um, one of which I think you know. Do you know a band called Flowers?
From London?
Yeah. So
Yes.
Rachel Kennedy from Flowers played in the Maps band at the time.
My students interviewed her.
I know, I always remember. She told me about that interview, and I remembered.
Oh, my little third
I just
graders.
remembered the other day. Yeah.
I feel like,
Um,
oh, that's wonderful. I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. So she's amazing. So yeah, we played some gigs, and then obviously at the end of 2019, I was thinking about next steps for the next album, but then obviously things changed dramatically at the start of 2020, and I just find myself locked away as we all did. And I think again that kind of altered like where I went next with what I did. And like I rarely have a concept up front. I kind of just make music, and then I guess the concept comes. You know, if I've got 4 or 5 tracks that are sitting in a similar world, then that I start to hang something on that and kind of think about things as an album. But with this, I was just making tracks, really just to kind of stay sane at the time, um, and I really had no idea of releasing them. It was just for my own, just keeping myself making music at that time, and got to the end of 2020. I had about 30 tracks, and then I played them to my manager, and he was like, "We should do something with this." And I was like,
Is this rolling?
"Really?
Is this
It
rolling?
is, yeah, 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 yeah." Um, and until that point, I hadn't really thought. I'd maybe thought of like doing like a mixtape or there was some like loose idea of that, but I and then I really started to think, this is an album. It kind of has a real sound. Everything kind of hangs together, and
Yeah.
um, so yeah, I started thinking about how it would work as an album.
Was that hard for you during COVID in terms of what you had mentioned earlier, anxiety or depression or anything like that? Did that have an emotional um, impact on you and the world just kind of shutting down? Or did you kind of like enjoy that experience?
um, yeah, I mean, I don't go out much, so as a lot of people said to me, you were kind of when the lockdown happened. I
Mhm.
think one of my friends said, "Oh, you've been preparing for this your whole life." Because
Good
I
for
just don't really. I go out, I'm not Howard Hughes, but I like to stay in and make music, and but no, I found it hard. Obviously, like everyone did, but I think the lack of sleep was kind of related to that. I think there was like worries and stuff that I think I had like an insomnia bout.
Mhm.
But no, like I was okay. I think it was just like everyone else, really. It was just a very uncertain time, and
Yeah.
the way I dealt with it was kind of escaping with music. So,
That's just to get off a little tangent. That's how that started. This whole thing started for me was the Tim Burgess listening parties.
oh yeah, yeah,
I was just kind of locked away, going, school had shut down. We had to go to Zoom like every other school. And then I'd hopped on one of his Twitter parties. It was the Cocteau Twins one. And I
mm,
said, "Oh, I'm going to do the exact same thing, just a little different." So here I am. So thanks to Tim Burgess is what I'm doing.
awesome.
I wanted to talk about the artwork here. So let's start from the outside going in here. So tell us a little about the artwork. Um, whose design is this? Was this actually yours?
So, there's a guy who does the artwork at Mute called Paul Taylor. And we discussed kind of this kind of screen printing idea. I mean, he came up with the idea, and it because um, I think the album if it kind of has a kind of quite a handmade feel to it, and I think it was very much. I think the way it was made as well. I was just on my own, kind of putting it together, and it kind of fit with the concept. So he came up with a kind of a design, and then me and him went to a screen printing place in London and worked with a woman called Anna Alcock. Well, basically, she gave us like a morning's screen printing lesson, and then me and him attempted to make sense of it, and we were literally just making it up as we went along. And so there was about like 50 different designs of like, and I think that's what was cool was that there were all these kind of happy accidents that were happening that weren't kind of intended. And then we kind of look back at what we've done and pick the best one. So yeah, it's supposed to have a kind of rough kind of feel to it. And
It does, but then so tell us about the blue part here. Is that significant for anything?
uh, it was uh, it was really to just have a kind of thing to hang things on. Yeah, there was an idea to just have um, a design that kind of looked cool. And just I think like when you screen print, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So if you've got like a consistent design, like that helps a lot, and it's quite yeah, it comes across that way, I suppose.
Do you enjoy that process of album covers, the artwork, the direction of it? Because I mean, the previous albums. I mean, you have some amazing.
Yeah, I can't take credit for the no. Like I mean, I have input, but no, it's always been about the music for me, and then I talk with other people um, about I might have ideas, but I'm not. You wouldn't want to see what kind of artwork I can make, other than doodles that I did for the
I
science
hear
team.
you.
But,
My artwork was never displayed in the classroom for good
no,
reason.
but I do love it though. I love because I think it's really important to have a
Yeah.
visual, have that visual identity as well as the music. But I just spend so long just getting the music right, and then
So let's go into the second layer here. Let's talk about the music. And I think someone posted in the comment box, "How come no singing?"
well,
Did someone? I thought someone said that. Did you see that? No vocals.
I didn't see it, but
Okay. Do you want to answer that or comment on that?
so yeah, I mean, I it was really just what I was doing at the time. Like I said, there's no kind of big master plan. I was making these tracks initially um as a way to kind of just continue making music, and then I think as well I'd like the album before was very vocal heavy. It was very lots of layered harmonies, and I think when I during that lockdown thing, I think I kind of went back to like just making music for pure enjoyment, and I not that I don't enjoy singing, but I found myself just enjoying what I was doing with just I had an opportunity, I suppose, to experiment a bit more with sounds, and I got much more into that side of things. So yeah, by the end of the year, I'd kind of realized I'd made an album without singing on it, and
So did you do all the instrumentation, the keyboards, guitar, bass, all that? Was that all you?
yeah, it's all me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's
That's
yeah, and like all the vocals that are on there are kind of manipulated samples and things like that because I got more into that side of things. I suppose with my first two albums, I used samples quite a lot, and then I went away from that. But I do enjoy playing with sounds and manipulating sounds, and I do actually sing on this album as well, by the way. But it's just very low down. And I like the idea of like there's vocals on there that sound like me that aren't me, and there's vocals on there that are me that don't sound like me. And I think that's kind of cool. So
I love that, and we're going to talk about a few of the tracks here. But before we do that, Damon says, "Does Maps plan any collaborations and or soundtracks?"
oh, I mean I've done more collaborations the last few years. Like production, I suppose. I don't know if it's like, well, yeah, it's collaboration in a sense, but I produced the Lisa Gerrard and Jewel Maxwell's album, which was really um, amazing opportunity, and I love doing that. And I recently produced an album by the music guitarist Adam Nutter, who and it's a really beautiful kind of instrumental album, sort of like don't know, Mark Knopfler meets Vangelis or something but like in a really cool kind of way. So that's coming out soon. Um, and I'm working on something at the moment which I unfortunately can't talk about right now, but it will be a good one when it comes out. But soundtracks I've always been interested in. Just never got the call, man. No, like it's just yeah, something I would love to kind of get into eventually. Yeah.
Uh, with Jules and Lisa, did you reach out to them? They reached out to you. How does that work?
So I knew I'd worked with Jules Maxwell before, um, on some stuff. I can't remember what it was, but we knew each other, and we were put in touch by a guy called Daryl Beaumonte, um, who's from a publishing company at the time. It was Schubert Publishing. And yeah, he just talked about this project that it was basically like him and Lisa Gerard had recorded some ideas, like because they toured together with Dead Can Dance, and they'd recorded some ideas kind of in their downtime, and they just wanted someone to work on these kind of. Some of them were kind of sketches, and some of them like more fully formed. So yeah, my role was to kind of take these ideas and kind of make them into something else. And what was great was that they just gave me free reign to just experiment and just go wherever. And yeah,
Did you
it was.
feel a sense of pressure with that?
I did initially. I think I always do. Like with the first, when I send the first one back. I mean, I work on stuff until I'm happy with it, but it doesn't mean to say that the other person is going to be. So I think as soon as I knew that he liked the first track, I knew that we were on the same page, and then you know that it's going to kind of work out. So, but yeah, initially, because I think you've just, you can kind of get ideas and briefs from people, but music is so subjective. I think it's like you just have to follow your instincts and get it to a place where you think it's sounding good, and then hope that they agree.
Amanda says James makes his music sound like a full orchestra. Nice compliment there.
Oh,
She also asked, "Will you work with Polly again?"
maybe, yeah. Like we did On Dead Waves, 2016. That album came out, and yeah, it never disbanded. We just kind of, I suppose, we just went on a long hiatus, and I went off and did my album. She's doing her solo albums, and um, but yeah, she's a great artist. Really like wonderful to work with. So
She did some nice podcasts, I think, with Katie Melua.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Those
Um,
were good. And then Amanda says your music is perfect for soundtracks. So speaking of
oh,
tracks here,
thank you,
I want to
Amanda.
throw down some few titles here. Just give us a little feeling on them. So let's start with Witchy Feel. Was that all? Did you always know that was going to be your first track that you want to come out of the gates with?
I think so. Yeah, because the intro just felt so like the intro to the start of an album. I think and it was one of the first ones I made as well. Like I was saying, I think there's certain tracks. Um, when you're working on them, you kind of feel that there's a sense of direction of where the rest could go, and I think which you feel definitely had um, that feeling of kind of, oh, okay, I can see where we're going now, and um, yeah, I mean, I wanted the opening just to kind of sound like a chiming bells, and they're kind of slightly out of time, like rhythmically, and so there's like an almost like a bell ringing idea there. Um, so it's almost like a kind of celebratory
Yeah.
um, hug at the start of the album. So,
It, it's a great way to kick things off. Through Lights. This is one of my favorites. Through Lights. Tell us a little about that.
so yeah, that was like I say. I mean, I made a lot of this album late at night, and that was one of them that I was working on at night. And I think as well, I think with that one, like there's a lot of kind of counteracting rhythms going on, and I kind of like that idea of having just different kind of syncopated kind of rhythmic stuff happening, and the bass line is very offbeat, and um so yeah, it was just playing around and just getting the groove right. And um it's I think there's there's a definite late night feel to that.
Yes.
I don't know why. I think there's the vocals, the reverby vocal sound, and there's kind of like a dulcimer type melody line, and it reminded me a bit of kind of Ulrich Schnauze. There's a kind of feel like, do you know Ulrich Schnauze's stuff?
No. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. Oh
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got that from that, um, and other some people have said like Orbital as well, which weirdly enough I never really. It's kind of like I find it fun when people say what they hear in the music, and when it's I don't even think of that kind of thing like influence wise. But yeah, there's certain bands I think just seep into your consciousness, and they're part of your DNA, whatever you do. So
And a little coming up in a little bit, we're going to hear from some of these artists and or albums that you really enjoy. So looking
yeah, yeah,
forward
yeah, yeah.
to that. Let's go Windows Open. That's a. What do you think of that one?
I like it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think Yogi commented on that. We all did. But
Yeah, I
so
think that was his favorite because I saw
yeah,
him recently in London. Like we did a thing. It was a Sonic Cathedral uh, birthday party, and he DJ'd. Um,
was that with Andy Bell?
it was, yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, I mean, I think that one was really just finding the right chord progressions with the synth. Because I do find like I found with like making an electronic or instrumental type album, and with this album, I really wanted to emphasize melody because I felt there was also there was a lot of kind of electronic stuff that kind of I suppose came out of the lockdown period that was quite depressing, just quite sound design, um, drone type stuff, and I suppose this was like I just wanted to create an album that was joyful and I've always loved melody in electronic music, and that so my aim with this album was just even though there weren't vocals on there, the melody kind of became like the vocal line in a sense.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, it's important to me to kind of get that right and not be lazy about what I was creating with the synth lines and the chord progressions, and they had to make me feel a certain way. Which yeah, that's always how I judge things. So
Let's go Valentine.
yeah, so this is probably one of the oldest tracks, and it was yeah, like I came. It's gonna sound so sad now, but I came up like with the idea on Valentine's Day, in 2020, when I was a single man, sad man, on his own in lockdown, and just making sad music, and that kind of became the vibe with that one. But then since then, I've um, she's gonna hate me for saying this, but I've found love with a lovely lady. I'm not gonna say her name because she'll kill me. But so and after that, like I worked again on that track, and it kind of took on a different form, and it was no longer this kind of um sad song. It was kind of there's definitely like reflective moments on this album, and that's one of them. And it's quite I feel like when I listen to Valentine, I feel like kind of yearning. Um and there's a definitely melancholy. But also there's always hope. Like I wanna always have because I find that melancholic music and sad music is often what makes me feel most uplifted. Um and I think that's kind of what I've always kind of done, was it's try and achieve an uplifting feeling, but through maybe like slightly melancholic means. If that makes sense. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I could sit here and tell you 50 albums that are just downright depressing and swimming in melancholy, and I feel the light within the darkness.
Mm.
I,
Yeah.
I enjoy that experience quite a bit. Everything from Kitchens of Distinction to The Cure to Black Celebration, Depeche Mode, so many albums and artists. Um, I don't mind going into that world. It feels right for me.
No, I think it's like it's anything that connects emotionally for me is like that's my only aim really, is to create music that connects emotionally with people. And if it does with me, then I hope that it'll connect with other people as well. Um, because that's why I began making music. It was to kind of deal with emotion, I suppose, and like um, and there's nothing else I've found on this planet that makes me feel the way music has the power to feel, um, in that sense. Yeah.
Except for your new Valentine.
I was just gonna say, God, except for love and
But
yeah,
it's all wrapped
sorry,
up in this
like
and swaddled in this beautiful blanket for us, right? And,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and we can access it whenever we want, and we can get that feeling and that sentiment and that vibe. And as I stated in the comment box, that's to me why I love your music so much. It imbues so many traits and characteristics that I look for in music, and it's all packaged there together. And sometimes it comes firing out of the gates like Witchy Feel. Sometimes you got to wait for it and wait and wait, and then boom, you just drop us and then you put us on the dance floor. It just provides so many different episodic moments that I can go, yep, there's a feeling there, there's a vibe here. It's pretty amazing how you do all that,
Oh,
whether
thanks.
you're conscious of it or not.
Yeah,
It-
that's gonna make
it's
me. I'm
awesome.
blushing now. But
Let's so we got to talk about the last track here. My Love Is Like.
yeah, so this was because I've haven't said this at all, but like as I was making this album, um, well, actually, like because I kind of starting to tinker with these tracks at the end of 2019,
Yeah.
and I was doing these DJ sets round and about, and I'd kind of play them out from time to time, and so there was various stages where I'd kind of try playing these tracks in public and just seeing how they went down. And I remember playing a version of this, um, and the idea was just kind of because I always find it hard to talk about influences because I never really know what's influencing what. But I was listening to kind of more krautrocky, like Harmonia, Cluster, um, and Can, and so I think this is kind of my tip in my hat to that kind of idea. And there's very pulsing rhythm to it, and it kind of starts. The idea was to kind of start, and people were just like, "What the hell is this?" Because it's almost like it doesn't really know what it's doing. There's just all these little bits, and they kind of find their way, and then eventually they gel into one thing, and then it becomes like a big beast of a euphoric song. That was the idea. Um, Sometimes these ideas work, and sometimes they don't. But that was kind of what I was aiming for. And the Shruti box, which is like a. Oh, do you mind if I just get it? Hold on.
Not at all.
This thing. It's like a. It's used in Indian vocal music. It's kind of like a drone box,
Okay.
and they used that at the start of the track, just because I wanted to use it, and it's also kind of got that kind of you know 60s trippy psychedelic vibe, which I was going for. So yeah, that was.
So, in 3 words, how would you sum up Counter Melodies?
Oh, 3 words: love and melody.
It's awesome, and it's something that it's clear to me. I don't know if you're like a Stanley Kubrick and you need to get everything right and you do 1,000 little takes or not, but and if, you're just a mad scientist behind the curtain there. But it just seems to me you put so much effort and time into these great bodies of work, and this one will certainly stand the test of time with all of your other albums. You don't have to tell us the name of the tracks, but how many tracks didn't make it onto this album? Do you know?
There was about 30, by maybe a few more. I mean, they weren't all finished. There were, because there was a lot of when you work like that, there's just a lot of ideas that just fall by the wayside, and I might come back to them. But yeah, there were like potential like tracks that could have made it. It was probably like 25, 30. And I've still, there was ones that didn't make it that I was, it was one of the hardest things to choose. But at the end of the day, it's what makes the best album, and it's kind of all about that flow, and the transition between the tracks was important. And so yeah, I think I made the right choices.
We have some comments here. Someone says, I think the new album is like a DJ set and it takes you on a journey. Absolutely. Kevin Adams says, not sure if this has been asked already, but any live shows planned? Would be amazing if there were some shows. The band you put together for the last shows was superb. Would you like to answer that?
Thanks, Kevin. Well, at the moment, there's no plans at the moment, but I would like to do something maybe towards the end of the year. I've got an idea, because I think the thing is, like, with every album I do, it's always a bit of a quandary, because they're all quite different, and I think this one especially is quite a turn from the last. So yeah, but I'm going to do more DJing for now as well. But yeah, watch this space in terms of other appearances.
Gary says music was one of the first art forms of expression, even before speech, the universal language. Well said, Gary.
Yeah, that's true, man.
You really love DJing, don't you?
I do. Like, I mean, I'm not like I'm not like a kind of amazing kind of know all the kind of tricks and stuff like that, but I enjoy picking the tracks and curating. But I enjoy playing my own stuff as well, like just without people knowing. It was just a good way of trying things out. Like I said, it's kind of a bit like a comedian trying out new jokes, that kind of testing the water. So
yeah, Yogi says, when are you going DJ with me in Aberdeen? You can stay at my flat too.
Thanks, Yogi. We'll figure it out. I want to see this techno set.
Yeah, no. In terms of your love for other music or albums, would you like to share with us some albums that have really made an impact on you?
I would, yeah. And because you asked about, so I thought hard about it, and I kind of thought there's certain albums that changed the direction of what I was doing, like right at the start of when I was beginning to make music. So I'll stop rambling and go into. So the first one, it's obviously quite a sad one because it's Low, Secret Name. So obviously there's, recent news makes it a sad choice, but they're one of my favorite bands. And this was probably the first album I heard of theirs. And it was around about the time that I was talking about earlier when I was, not in a good place. And I kind of really connected with this album. And I learned a lot from it, kind of in terms of songwriting. And then I went to see them play at Union Chapel around the same time. And I think that gig just changed my life. I came out of it as a changed person. I kind of thought it made me feel such an emotion. And I went home just wanting to make my own music. It sounds like so melodramatic, but that was kind of what happened.
Was that 2000? I can't remember when that one came out.
This was 99, I think.
99. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is it about? See, that band is so astonishing because, as you know, that band never made it big, but they're so revered, right?
Yeah.
So many people are drawn to the music. So what is it about the music that you really appreciate?
I think there's just a there's a purity to the emotion. I think I feel like they say much more with less, especially on this album. It's all about the songwriting and the melodies and the harmonies, and just the way things are constructed. It just connects with me, and I just feel it. So yeah, it's just the power they have an intensity to them.
Yes.
That really comes through, and I think it's partly, it's Alan's vocals with Mimi's vocals. I think that was it. They just both have such emotive voices, and they write such beautiful songs. But yeah, that gig at the show at the Union Chapel, I was just blown away. Like, and also I think there's always for me there was almost like a punk rock feel to the fact that they were so sparse. There was, there's just three of them, and it made me go home and feel that I could make music myself with not much, because I didn't have a lot of equipment. I didn't have a lot of, I just had a 4-track cassette recorder, but I think it taught me that the songs are important, and if you spend time working on stuff, it doesn't matter like what equipment you have. It's just about the passion and emotion that goes into it, I think.
Yeah.
That was a long answer for whatever question you asked me.
We're talking about Low. We could have our own conversation about this.
Have a Low, whole different chat.
Let's go to the next one.
So the next one, I mean, some of these might be, I don't know if they're just too. So this is Boards of Canada.
Okay.
Geo Gaddy. Are you a fan?
I'm gonna say no, and I'm not gonna say no. It's not because I dislike it. It's just I don't want to call myself a fan because that's just something I don't listen to often enough.
Oh, okay. I thought we were gonna have a really awkward conversation then.
Yeah, I don't want to be fake about it.
So, they're just one of those artists that kind of. It was around that time as well that I was starting to get into electronic music and figuring out that landscape, and I chose this album because I mean their first album is a masterpiece. Like Music Has the Right to Children was an amazing album, but this album is it feels like more raw and dark, and just weird. Like there's just loads of weird like vocal samples and kind of alludes to occult kind of things, and yeah, it's like they just create they create their own world, and I think that was kind of what I was drawn to, was just music that just takes you somewhere else. Um and I was always a fan of like the Warp label as well. I think there's a lot of bands on there that are just amazing. So yeah, like Balls of Canada, man. They're kind of
Yeah, well, Yogi agrees with you. He says everyone needs Boards of Canada in their
yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah.
Scottish too.
They are Scottish, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
awesome.
So
All right.
okay,
Yep.
next one. Oh shit, sorry. So I'm gonna go like this is Steve Reich music for 18 musicians.
I don't know this one.
Oh man, this is like so it's kind of like a I guess like it was kind of a neoclassical type uh piece. It's like 1978. He was kind of from the school of just taking kind of classical music in more of a, I guess, like hippie. There's
Yeah.
like hippie influences and hypnotic influences, um, it's minimalism really was like the school that he came from. But this is an album that I've just definitely in the last 10 years I've listened to a lot, and it's one of those that just takes you. It almost hypnotizes you if you have 50 minutes of your time and you sit down and listen to this. It just by the end you're just like you feel changed, and it's kind of yeah, it's an amazing piece of work, and yeah, I think definitely like it's been something I've listened to more recently, and with this new album as well, there was kind of shades of I got more interested in kind of what music does as a the sound of music and how it can kind of the perspective can kind of change like on how it's created and I don't know, just the tricks of sonics and things like that. I don't know if I'm making sense, but
It sounds pretty avant-garde.
yeah, it is. It's kind of, but I think of that period, it's probably like the most accessible that I know. It's kind of very, um, just like a kind of hypnotic pulse that comes in and out like waves. And yeah, check it out, man. I think you dig
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you.
yeah.
I'm loving all this. You have a couple more?
I do. Yeah. I mean, these are less. I mean, come on.
Uh,
Probably one of my favorite albums of all time. So I had to put it in there, and it's yeah, Loveless has always been. It changed how I thought about sound and just how I've just thought about everything really, and it was kind of. I remember who like one of my friends lent me the vinyl, um, just after it came out, or maybe a few years after, and I took it home and I put it on my turntable, and I thought it was playing at the wrong speed, and that was just how much of a like it was almost like you had to retune your brain to what Kevin Shields was doing. Yeah, so I know it's often talked about, but I think it of good reason. I think it's some
Absolutely.
masterpiece.
Did you ever see them live?
I didn't. No, my brother did. When they reformed, I can't remember what it was now. When they bought
Yeah.
the other album out.
I heard so the band Swans,
Mm.
My Bloody Valentine, Ministry
Oh,
are like the three loudest concerts people have
I've
been
seen
to.
Swans. Yeah, Swans are on Mute
Yes,
Records. Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
intense,
Sorry.
pretty intense band.
Oh man, yeah. I was stood at the back and I was like pinned to the wall. It was just crazy.
Yeah, I've heard some amazing things about their shows. Do you like
Yeah.
going to concerts? Do you enjoy that experience?
I do, yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, I don't go as often as I would like. Um, yeah, but I do. I enjoy kind of going to gigs and concerts.
Can James Chapman tell us a concert or two that just shook his world?
Oh man, um, what recently or
And anytime, anytime.
I think well there was that the low gig that it changed my life, man.
Yeah.
Um, and then I saw Spiritualized at the Royal Albert Hall
Ooh.
in '97. Oh man,
Was that for Ladies and Gentlemen?
yes,
Oh,
yeah. It was the one that made the CD. You know,
oh
they
yeah,
brought the CD out. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We went to that, and that was yeah.
John
Again, it was just like kind of one of those that stays with you. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think there's um, electronic stuff as well. Trying to think, like, I mean, I remember going to a lot of festivals. I mean, I saw the Chemical Brothers a few times, and they were pretty insane. Um, but I suppose more recently, I went to see um, Max Cooper. He was cool.
Nice.
Um,
How
yeah.
about Daniel Avery? Are you familiar with Daniel
Oh
Avery?
yeah, 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 yeah. I love his stuff. Yeah. Um, I don't think I've actually seen him. No, I haven't seen him play live. I need to though. Um, yeah, him and you know High as well. He's on mute.
Okay.
Haai. So you spell a name. Like, yeah, they make kind of really intense techno. Um,
How do you find the time to? I mean, do you have time to listen to albums? Do you? I mean, is it something or? Do people send you stuff and be like, "Hey, James, try this. You know, we want you to do a remix here." Like, how do you have time to enjoy music?
I do try it. Like, I mean, I listen to a lot of classical music as well. Like, and I think that's kind of to unwind
Yeah.
the ears as well. But no, I do like I do listen to music. I don't. I wish I had. I wish I spent more time sitting down and listening to albums. I tend to kind of listen to tracks, and I think that's kind of in the electronic world. It's things are maybe more about the track and less about the album. But so yeah, I try to get away from just listening to playlists
Yeah,
constantly because I do care about albums. I think they're an important um, entity.
sure. Do you have any other albums to share?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Um, you might have heard of that one. Uh,
Is that what I think it is?
yeah. So yeah, like Pet Sounds. Like, what can you say? I mean, um, yeah, these are albums that are kind of have stayed with me kind of from the beginning, and I think they've maybe not the Steve Reich, but the others. They definitely changed how changed the history of maps at the beginning. I think I started to think about music in a different way, and um, but yeah, there's not even like it's such a hard question. I think choosing favorite albums. So yeah, these are kind of ones that over the time have stayed with me because all my albums are quite different as well. So I guess there was music that influenced Colors Reflect Time Loss that wouldn't have influenced Counter Melodies, Um, so yeah.
So with Pet Sounds, it's very interesting how my mind operates while listening to that album, because sometimes the first 3, 4, 5 tracks I'll play over and over again and think, how the
Mm.
hell? Where did this all come from? And then the next time I listen to it, it's maybe the last half of the album I'm just so into. It doesn't matter, I guess. It's just like it's an album that you can hear, in my opinion, over and over and over again and acquire new sounds, new feelings, old sounds, old feelings. It just never tires.
Yeah, there's just so many layers and so much depth to it, and yeah, it's just an album that you can't really quantify, for me anyway, how much it's influenced what I do in kind of thinking about harmonies and melody and just vibe. And yeah, I get there's a joyful feel to the album, which and an innocence, I think, that I've always loved.
Yes, absolutely. Any other albums?
That was it, man. I thought it was just 5. That's
No,
5.
that's fine.
Oh,
That's,
no, hang on. Right,
oh, you
okay.
got one more in the
It's a
statue
bonus.
there.
It's a bonus, but I've got the original cassette, but I lost the cover.
What is
So
that?
basically, like KLF,
Oh my!
the White Room. You know KLF.
Yes.
So I bought this album when I must have been about 12 years old. And I had no idea. Like I liked the strangeness of them. And I was always drawn to melodic music. And I just loved the tunes. And I bought this album, and I think, yeah, it was my entry into late acid house that
Yeah.
I didn't really know at the time. But yeah, they're an amazing kind of subversive act that kind of made great tunes, but also just made you question what the hell they were doing.
Right.
Which I love. Like, I think
Yeah.
it's cool to just have that mystery and
In
yeah.
in in all of your spare time, if you Yogi says KLF again, talking about his band. Kevin
There's a
says
theme. There's a theme here.
yes. Kevin says love that Andy Bell remix.
Oh,
Amanda
thanks,
said you
Kevin.
really add your orchestral and electronic flourishes and make the tracks even better. Gary says can't go wrong
Oh,
with a bit of KLF.
yeah.
Um,
Thanks,
so
guys.
what tell us before we wrap this up and we do our giveaway here. What's next for James Chapman here?
So this album, like, well, there's some cool remixes to come, which I'm really excited about. Some really cool stuff. And I've been working on some different um versions of some of the tracks as well, like that we're gonna put out. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say, but world premiere. Yeah, we're gonna release like some different kind of takes on the tracks that I've been working on. A bit like, you remember, like they used to do like dub mixes. I think I've kind of taken that idea and just kind of more like an extended play, and but yeah, sort of remixes. And then yeah, I'm working on other projects as well, but I'm also thinking about the next record. I'm always thinking about the next record. Um, but yeah, there will be more to come. Like I would like to get out there and do some stuff like in a kind of live capacity as well.
Yes.
So don't know. We'll see. Like, just stay posted, and
I will, and I'll look forward to when you come out to the States, especially San Francisco.
man, I no lie. Like, it was my favorite place I came to.
San Francisco.
Yeah, yeah. I just love the vibe. And
It's a
yeah,
pretty
we
wacky city.
yeah, down Haight Street and all that stuff. It's just, I'd love to come back, but
Oh, if you
we'll
do,
see.
I gotta set you up this incredible record store that's all electronics and electronica music, and it's this little hole in the ground. Literally, you walk underneath. You're
Yeah.
like, what is this place? And it's pretty astonishing. Uh,
Wow.
Hopefully, they're still open because I know COVID really wrecked some businesses, um, but yeah, then they have the titans like Amoeba Records. Have you heard of Amoeba Records?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
went there, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I went there, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's massive, isn't it?
Yeah. It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's the grand poobah of record stores. Kind of took over Tower Records and just kind of blew up there. So let's talk about this giveaway here. What is this giveaway? Do you want to announce to our?
Well, yeah, like I mean, just to as a thank you for this wonderful uh soiree, I was gonna do a giveaway of the vinyl and like ask a question as
Okay.
a competition time.
Yeah. All right. Everyone, get your fingers ready to dance.
This vinyl is limited, very limited edition, and you get signed print with it.
Very cool.
Trying to
So,
get it out.
so this is what we're going to do, everyone. James is going to ask the question. The first person that he sees on his screen to come up with the right answer will be the winner.
Pressure. Right.
And James, are you counting spelling or not? Being a teacher, as long as you know what they're trying to say, right?
Yeah, I don't want to discriminate against yeah, it's yeah, I just don't know if the question's too hard or
Well,
well,
we're
we'll
going
find
to find
out.
out. Shall we
Okay.
find out?
Okay, so the question is what was the first single that was ever released under the Maps name?
First single ever released under the Maps name. All right, everyone, go for it. Amanda says, "Oh God." Come on, Amanda, you can do it.
She's got the fastest search engine. No. No. Good try, Amanda, but no. Wow. What if no one gets? No, sorry, Kevin. Further back. I could give a clue, or I don't know.
The clue is hanging up in your kitchen and your
It is.
storing out.
Oh man.
Has Yogi chimed in yet? No.
Pressure.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Damon Ray La got it.
That is
Wow.
correct. Start something.
That is it.
Yogi says, "I've got it on 7-inch. Just forgot the name."
Oh
Oh,
man.
well,
Oh
I'll
wow.
let you two duke that out at your place, Yogi.
Cool. Oh,
So-
well done, Damon. Thank you.
So,
This is
James,
yours.
yeah, I'll let you handle that with Damon. Well done. Awesome work.
Yeah, we'll sort it out. I'll sign it. I mean, it's signed on the inside. I'll sign it on the outside, or not if you prefer not. To.
Kevin says, "Well done, Damon." Yogi says, "Maybe
Maybe
not."
not.
James, this has been an absolute pleasure. I'm so thrilled that I was able to connect with you, and thank you for your time. Thank you for this amazing piece of work here. Everyone, Maps Counter Melodies, as I said in the comment box while listening, get this to your friends, send it as a gift, tell them about it, whatever you need to do, get it out to the world. And I love the fact that I can hear in your voice that you're very proud of this piece of work.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy with how people have enjoying it as well. Because I was conscious that it was quite different to the last album, and I love that the people that enjoy my music have got on board for the ride, and it's great. So, and I just want to say thank you to you as well, like for all this, and it's been awesome, and everyone for coming. It's
Yeah.
been a
Well,
blast.
you're quite welcome. And by the way, this conversation will be uh, on the High Arts on the Edge page. It's not going anywhere. So if you ever want to go
Oh,
back, people want to go back and check out the whole thing or different pieces to it, you can. It's funny though, because I'll get messages from people who go back and fans who go back and watch some of these events. And when we do album listening parties, I go, well, I don't hear anything.
I know. Yeah, I was the same. But you can still do it though, couldn't you? Like if
Yeah,
you could do it with the replay.
you could
Yeah,
do it in the replay if you wanted to,
yeah.
but
It's
they'll
weird,
mess
isn't it?
be like, I
Everyone's
don't
sitting
hear
in
anything.
silence.
So yeah, Amanda says we love you. Yogi says it's a beautiful journey, as I said earlier, like a DJ set. Well said,
Oh,
all of you. Thank you for your
thanks,
time,
guys.
commitment, energy to the music industry. It's
Oh,
been wonderful getting to know your work, and thank you everyone for tuning in to High Arts on the Edge. We have more events coming down the line in March and in April. So head on over to the Facebook page. You will see what those are. And thanks again, James Chapman of Maps. And everyone, keep spreading the love of good music. It's always there, right at our fingertips, on the turntable, computer, wherever it may be. Thank you all. Take care and peace. Thank you, James.
bye bye. Thanks, William. Cheers. Bye bye.